the flowers in my garden never looked as bright as this. Like a happy child I watched them grow out of only seeds. Butterflies down my stomach when I think of you and me. It is funny how a lot can change when you learn how to breathe. Look at my eyes.
Hi guys, today we are going to the Philippine International Motor Show. It's Thursday, the first day today, and I'm going there to try and show you guys kung anong nangyayari dun. The first thing that you guys should know is the parking has a very long line. So I've been lining up here for almost 15 to 20 minutes now, and this whole area is full. Ngayon, I didn't think it would be full on a Thursday, hindi naman weekend pa. So usually ang ginagawa nila is binubuksan nila yung area na yun. But just keep in mind that parking, it's quite terrible. So just a lot for that. Kung pupunta man kayo dito, a lot maybe 20 minutes hanggang makapasok kayo sa parking lot kasi nag-aantay yata sila na may makalabas bago tayo makapasok. So after that, we're gonna be heading on and trying to see what's going on inside the Philippine International Motor Show. Sa mga hindi alam kung saan lalabas once you park here, there is a very small opening here that used to be the exit. Ito lang tayo dadaan to be able to enter the building. So this right here is the current line right now. Kanina we were around here. Possibly lalampas na to ng almost 45 minutes, I feel like. So guys, it's very confusing because a lot of people don't know where the entrance is. So nandito siya. Before, usually kailangan mo pang pumunta doon. But nandito siya. This is the only entrance that they have here. So we found Shinny and Soju here. I saw Albert kanina. They've been here since this early. Parehas kami naka-perm ni Soju. Pero bad hair. No. Parang nawawala. Guys, right here, they're trying to preview the newest Kia 6. It's an EV vehicle. There's a lot of things that are going around here. Ang napansin ko dito is that a lot of car brands here are actually trying to show EV or hybrid vehicles. I know Suzuki released a hybrid vehicle on the other end. And if anything, I think that's the common theme that everyone here is going for.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Kia EV6.
So here guys, we have the Nissan Pavilion. Of course, the usual suspects. It has all the newer cars like the Almera. They have a GTR all the way down there. The Terra, the Navaras, the Patrols, and then of course, they're trying to showcase the newest Nissan Leaf. It's here somewhere, but that is a full EV vehicle. And of course, there's also the Nissan Kicks. The Nissan Kicks, we were able to test this out a while back. And my uncle actually is getting his own Nissan Kicks, nag-activate yung hybrid mode niya. It was very silent and all you could hear was literally tire noise. So it's one of those vehicles that it's definitely one to look out for, especially at the price range that it's being offered at, lalo ngayon ang mahal-mahal pa ng gasolina. So guys, currently we're at the BMW Pavilion at the moment, and what I wanna actually show you guys is the newest iX xDrive 40. It's an SUV. Now this one has the eDrive technology. I think it's one of the more interesting BMW SUVs that they've released. Obviously, it's quite new, and if you look at it, sobrang futuristic na ng itsura niya. I think if anything, I think this is one of the more modern BMW designs that I actually am inclined to liking. Kasi I really didn't like some of the vehicles where the grille was a bit too long. But for this one, I think it looks pretty good. Very modern, very futuristic. Ako talaga actually, guys, I have a bias for BMW. They've always been one of my more favorite brands. But yes, looking at this, it's extremely beautiful. Look at these taillights. These are probably LED, and I like how they kind of extend towards the side here. And it's in theme with whatever BMW is trying to uphold as a reputation. And nakita tayo dito si senpai natin, si Stanley Chi. Long time. Kamusta ka na, brother?
Kamusta yung mga viewers ng rephmotors? Hello sa inyo.
Reunited na naman kami dito, guys. So, andito ang Phil Kochi team along with a lot of automotive brands. Stan looking as good as always. Fresh.
Siyempre.
Fresh, no?
Yung mga pogi, nagkakampihan yan. Parang si Reph tsaka ako. Yan.
Reunited, guys. Reunited. So we're here at Geely's booth right now. What we can see here is, of course, the M Grand. vehicles that Geely ever released. This is one of those cars na medyo ginagawa nilang, like, it's supposed to look a little bit European. So it's mostly compared to like Volkswagen and those other cars. Personally, I think it kind of looks like the Accord. Pero yun nga, they're comparing it to like European sedans, yung size niya. It even has a sunroof light right there on the very top. Of course, what we have on the left is the Coolray, one of the most top-selling vehicles at a certain year. I'm not sure what year it was. Pero magkatapat nun during that time was that one and then the Ford Territory. So what we have here now is the new Nissan Kicks e-Power. This one is the hybrid vehicle that we tested from Nissan a while back. During that time, hindi pa siya revealed. So now it's officially released. I think this one retails for about 1.6 million, and then not sure which variant that is. But for the lower variants, I think it's offered at 1.5. Now, hindi ko alam if that's the highest variant like I mentioned, but either way, it's actually a very comfortable car. It comes with Apple CarPlay, and I remember like the aircon in the back was strong enough. When we rode this car, there were about 5 of us, and nagkasya kami very comfortably roaming around the streets of Manila. Mapapansin mo talaga that the world we're coming into right now is more focused on EV vehicles, hybrid vehicles, talagang long-term sustainability. So that's what the e-Power is all about. And of course, ultimately, the Nissan Leaf, which is right there. For the Nissan Leaf naman, the story with this is, remember I think it was last year, we drove this all the way to Boracay. So we brought 2 Nissan Leafs in Boracay, and then we also had the Almera, which we also brought to Boracay. So we drove it all the way there, where yung mga water bottle, yung mga water dispenser namin and all those other things. So this car was one of those cars that there was a time that the water dispenser was actually being powered by the Nissan Leaf. It can actually do that, and I remember when there was a calamity all the way in Cebu, they brought the Nissan Leaf all the way there, and it also powered a small village. That's how impressive the battery is of the Nissan Leaf. And if you look there, it has that really rather unique looking shift knob. So what we also have here is the Espresso. It actually now comes in white. Back then, kasi it only used to go and come in orange and those other colors. Actually, I don't know if I've seen, I think there was a red too. Pero personally, it's the orange that really stood out. Pero now that it comes in white, I think it's quite beautiful. I don't know if the new Espressos come with an, wala pa, it still comes with a manual transmission. But yeah, the Nissan Espresso is one of my more famous reviews because of the fact that it is very affordable. It's quite comfortable and hindi ka na rin mahihirapan in going in. This one already has a modern infotainment system in the middle, and of course, very efficient on fuel. So if anything, the Espresso is a good starter car if you're trying to really just start out, because it has a good enough size for about 4 medium-sized people. Pwede mong ipilit kung tatlo kayo, but either way, the Espresso is one of those cars that are really something that you should look out for. Now this right here is the newest all-new Celerio. When we reviewed this, it was one of those vehicles. It was one of the most efficient vehicles that we've ever tested in terms of fuel. If I'm not mistaken, this one was able to reach, I think, 25 kilometers per liter if you really try to be careful in stepping on the accelerator pedal. But if anything, this car is one of those cars that are also one thing to look out for. It's much bigger than how it looked previously, so it doesn't really look as smaller. It doesn't feel as small when you drive it. And I remember saying that the front actually kind of reminded me of like the design of a Mini Cooper, because the hood in itself is a bit longer than how the whole car actually looks. Now this right here is the newest Suzuki Ertiga, and I know it just looks like your normal Ertiga, but the one thing that really differentiates this from all the other ones is the fact that it is a hybrid Ertiga right there, and it actually has the sport kits around it, which is why it looks a little bit sportier than usual. But if anything, I think it does have the same interior. I remember driving this and it was very comfortable from the back to the front. Now this one does have the upgraded infotainment system, so malaki na siya. I'm not sure if it has Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, but if anything, it does look a lot more modern. Meron din siyang wooden trims right there by the aircon panel. Here we have the launch of the new Chery vehicles. Of course, they are PHEV.
But there's more!
So EV na rin siya ngayon, guys. Plug-in hybrid. So right here, we're at the Mazda Pavilion, guys. Personally, I think this might be the nicest pavilion that they have here. I remember back then, the first time I ever got to try an ND Miata, like actually sit down in one, was here. Obviously, they really made an effort here. I think this might be a Miata too, actually. With the shape and how it looks, it's most likely a Miata, I'm very sure. I'm just not sure if they have any new releases, but definitely Miata to. So we have here the CX-9 Turbo all-wheel drive yan. We also have the pickup here from Mazda. BT50 here. I think this one is the is a new edition. This one comes with aftermarket wheels. When this model came out, a lot of people actually had trouble in choosing which one that they'd prefer because of the fact that it really is beautiful. It's far from how the old pickups used to look. Very modern siya, very huge. Personally, I think it's much sleeker than all the other pickups. Even sleeker than the Navara, sleeker than even the Conquest actually, because of just this hood. It doesn't really stray away from how Mazda vehicles actually usually look from the front. Now, of course, what we have here is Toyota's booth where they have the Supra, the newest 86, they even have the GR Yaris all the way out in the back. So one section that I'd like to show up here in Toyota's pavilion is the fact that all these cars here are hybrid vehicles. The RAV4 is a hybrid, the Camry is a hybrid actually. For this one, alam ko the stocks are low because I know someone who's been trying to get one of these and it's just not available currently. But yes, it's one of those vehicles that actually I think are very beautiful, and the fact that with rising fuel prices right now, definitely a hybrid vehicle is something that you really can take an advantage of. The problem with these newer Camrys though is a lot of people still wish it came with a 3.5 V6. But personally, I've driven one of these hybrids and they're still actually very, very fast. So just because it's not 3.5 V6 doesn't mean it's entirely slow, because the torque on these things are pretty crazy considering that it is a hybrid. That's good fuel mileage, plus when you have a fast vehicle that's very luxurious, so I think it's pretty much worth every penny you're spending for it. Of course, we have the Corolla Cross, also a hybrid, and of course, the Altis, the more common one. The Corolla Altis is of course also a hybrid. I remember this is the first hybrid that I've ever actually driven, and it was very, very silent. Once the aircon was off, it was very silent. Although this one is different. I think this one is a GR Sport hybrid. Now, of course, we can't leave the Toyota Pavilion without looking at the GR Yaris. Of course, this one is limited. You guys know all about this car already. It's very beautiful, but unfortunately, not a lot of people actually know that it's that valuable and that much of a collectible, especially the people who aren't really into cars. But if you know what it is and you see it out in the mall or something, a lot of people actually take pictures with it for the ones that really, really know what they're looking at. Now, of course, what we have here is one of my most favorite vehicles of all time. This one is the GR Toyota Supra. And Toyota lent this to me for about a week. It was just one of the most beautiful vehicles I've ever driven. Actually, if not the most beautiful vehicle I've ever driven. I still aspire to owning one of these because of how pleasurable my experience was. I also love the fact that it's paired with a BMW engine. Alam ko that was very controversial at some point. But if anything, this was really the car that I wanted, and this is the car that I'm still really going for. Hopefully, kahit medyo matanda na ako, I would really love to have my own GR Supra. Once I have this, I'm actually going to be content with it. Stick with it, and then from then on, wala na. I will just keep this forever. Now for Kia, we have here the newest Kia Carnival. You know, the Kia Carnival isn't the first car that you think of when you're going for a 7-seater, but once you see one in person and once you're able to ride it and really are able to experience the feeling of how luxurious it is in one, I now understand why a lot of Koreans actually just prefer to have this over like the Alphard or any of those cars. It's a very luxurious vehicle that a lot of people underestimate. But personally for me, I think it's very beautiful, very comfortable. Price is a little bit expensive, but if anything, you are getting what you're paying for. Now this one right here is the EV6, the car that was actually revealed earlier. Very beautiful car, very sleek, very modern. I'm not sure what the price point is of this vehicle, but I'm sure it's not going to be cheap, guys. It has those Tesla-style doorknobs, or actually, di na nga knob yung tawag dyan eh. Looking inside, it's very modern, very futuristic. Kind of reminds me of the dashboard or infotainment layout of the, what car was that? The Chang'an actually. On this pavilion, we have the newest Civic RS. A lot of people believe that this is one of the more beautiful Civics that have been released. Some of them are actually saying it might be the most beautiful Civic that ever released. This one had a lot of controversy initially because sabi nila, oh, it looks too far from being a Japanese vehicle. It doesn't really, parang ang layo na niya from the heritage. And now actually some people are really saying that it's one of the most beautiful Civics that they've ever created actually. Looking at it now, actually the Civic kasi is one of those vehicles that will always be iconic. It will always have a reputation for, of course, being like the baby type R or those things. But yes, very beautiful interior. This one actually comes with carbon trims already. I like how the aircon layout looks. And I'm sure this one already has like Apple CarPlay kasi the Accord that I tested before already had it. But yeah, very beautiful Civic. If anything, it's really leaning onto a more luxurious, like modern, mature type of like reputation for the Civic. This one right here is the newest HRV RS. Now this one actually really looks sporty. It's luxurious yet sporty at the same time. A lot of people actually confuse HRV with CRV and BRV. I mean, it does get confusing, that's true. But if anything, I think it's just Honda's way of giving us options that whatever price point or whatever size that you need, that they do have that exact vehicle for you. All right, guys, I think that wraps up our day here at the Philippine International Motor Show. If anything, I think I was able to show you all of the cars that I was already interested in. I hope that I was able to show you guys cars that you could potentially purchase or cars you're curious about. This thing is gonna be here for the whole weekend. The ticket is around 100 to 200 pesos. And one thing that I want to note is that guys, hindi sila tumatanggap ng GCash or anything, so you have to have straight cash payments. But yes, this has been me, rephbangsil, serving you guys the Philippine International Motor Show. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys later. So guys, of course, the Philippine International Motor Show is not complete without you being able to test drive the cars. So out here, you can just come here, register for a test drive, and take out any car that you'd want to be able to really find the one that really fits your need. Just look at that. I think this is an E28, definitely not an E30. We have here, this is Julian from Auto PH. I am 100% sure na siya to.